the Keystone Stitcher. Welcome or welcome back. Today is September 1st, 2023, and I've got a lot for you. So we're into the end of summer. Things have quieted down. The kids are all back in school, so I don't have them around as much. But yeah, kind of sad summer's over. I had a great summer. I hope you did too. I had two plans. We're going to go right into stitching because I have this pile that I'm waiting to fall over. I had two goals for the month of August. One was to finish the biggest project yet, and one was to make progress on another. And after that, I was going to stitch whatever I wanted. And I asked you for your suggestions, and you guys picked the exact ones that I really wanted to work on. So we're going to get into all that. First, let's start with, did I finish my biggest project? Well, yeah, I did. And that is Alice in Snow White. The artwork is by Jasmine, Beckett, Griffith, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a full cover, or a full size, regular size. I knew I'd get it eventually. I started this on April 24th of 2021. And in that year, I put in 10,000 stitches. So not a lot. And here's where it looked on January of 2022. I then decided this had to be more of a priority if I was ever going to get this done. And I started giving it a lot more time in 2022. And while I don't have a full picture for you of where it was January 2023, I had gone all the way across, so the whole top row of pages, and then I began working my way down to complete Snow White. My theory was if I completed Snow White, because that was when I used to kit up my projects, that I would be able to take at least a handful of that floss and put it back in and be able to use it with other projects. Needless to say, by the time I finished Snow White, I think I finished 2, maybe 3 colors, so that really didn't work out. But here's the area of Snow White that was left to finish coming into 2023. And on January 2023, when I started this year, I had completed 109,453 stitches, which left me 101,347 stitches to finish this year. And I'm happy to say that this is what it looked like on August 20th. Oh, this is actually the 21st. I finished it around 10 p.m. on the 20th. And the next morning, my granddaughter came over. This is the granddaughter that received it. So she's sitting on my couch in this picture holding it up. Because I stitched this on a 16 count and I used a platinum Aida by Zweigart, it made this 31 inches tall. Yeah, it was really tall. With the frame, which I'll show you in a moment, it brought it to 35 inches because I added a nice wide frame. A lot of my frames are narrow, like 1 inch, but I felt this piece needed a bigger frame. I stitched on this 24 out of the 28 months for an average stitch count. Now, I didn't do average, but an average stitch count of 8,783 stitches per month. So if you have a project that is 210,000 stitches, 8,700 stitches will get you done in 24 months. So this is what it looked like stretched. So I washed it, ironed it, so I hung it to dry. I did not put this through the washing machine. I hand washed it in my kitchen sink, hung it to dry overnight, and then I pressed it and I stretched it on Thursday, framed it. Here she is in the frame. They are in the frame. And then the following morning on Friday, my granddaughter showed up and I gave it to her. So she has it in her room at home. My goal with this, I told her at the beginning of August, so that I could not delay on this, that she would have this before she started school this year. I gave it to her on Friday. She started school on Monday. That's how close it came. I really pushed through on this because this child asked for this when she was 10 years old. And as a 10-year-old, she was into frilly. Her favorite color was pink. She was all about her princesses. 2 years later, and this child is kind of skirting around that goth look. She likes your dark, moody purples and grays and black, and she's kind of put the princesses aside for the most part. She's into anime, and so children change, and I was really afraid that if I didn't get this done soon, she wasn't going to love it as much, and I wanted her to have it while she loved it. Now I know adults love the artwork of Jasmine, Beckett, Griffith, but when you're talking about a child and how they change so much, yeah, it was important to me that I got this to her. So those are the stats on Alice in Snow White. I'm thrilled. I rearranged so much. I put off, I think I read one book the entire month. I didn't do any of my crochet projects. I just kind of, all of my free time for crafting went into that. So once I was done with that, we moved into my other goal for August, which was a page finish on Cosmic Wolf. So here we go. When I last spoke to you, I didn't know if I was going to do this last page or move up. And as you can see, I decided to go with that last page. So this page here, the idea of leaving that blank and then working up, it was just too distracting for me. Now this page worked up really quickly because this color you see here is 38, I think it's 46. And yeah, I'm getting really dark here. And there are 3,500 stitches to a page. There were just about 1,800 stitches of that one color. So let me bring this down and I'll show you where it was. So that's where it was when you last saw it. So this is my very first pain-free craft chart. I love how it works out, and I love that their pages follow the 10 by 10. I don't know why that matters to me. Let me put this down a little bit. I don't know why that matters to me, but I like having my 10 by 10 block be where the page ends instead of having the page end in between. While I love pain-free crafts, and I will probably, if I see something else that draws my attention, do more, I do have to say I was a little disappointed because I had never heard of the artist. And so I went and did a search on the artist to see who this artist was. The artist is MJP, so it's E-M-J-A-Y and the letter P. And when I put that into a search engine to see what else was out there and to learn more about this artist, I found out this isn't actually an artist. MJP is the name that is listed as the artist for the projects that Pain Free Crafts does with AI, using AI. So this is an AI generated image, and after watching Mika, Darling Bluebell, after she did her TED Talk on AI, which is in her field, this is not something, this is outside my toolbox, sort of. I decided that I would probably avoid AI just because I'm not familiar with it, and I don't want other artists' work to be used to create a montage piece. I'm not using the right terminology. See, this isn't my thing. I'm not tech savvy. But I thought I'll just avoid AI, and then I know that I'm not, I know that I am spending my money to support the artist. So yeah, moving forward, I will probably be more cautious, and I will do more research when it's an artist that I don't recognize the name of. But I've started this, I love this, and I'm going to continue. Okay, so my next piece then, well, before we get in, because the rest of this are whips and 2 more finishes. Did I mention I had 2 more finishes? But I wanted to show you I had some kindness sent to me this past month. And the first one is this beautiful thank you card. I love this bear. I think it's gorgeous. This I received from my friend who I did the European City piece, which is this. And I sent it off to her. Now, many of you might know, if you followed along, that she was very ill. She's had some health concerns, but she also was diagnosed with a lump in her breast. It was cancerous. They removed it. They treated it. And she's doing great. But I sent that off to her. I started it after she took a trip to Germany, and I knew that she had been in the city. I knew the city meant a lot to her. And I started then. It kind of got shelved, and then I started working to finish it when I found out that she had been diagnosed with the breast cancer. So I finished it off, sent it to her as I didn't want to make it a piece that she would have to frame framed and have on her wall. And I thought, I'll give her something she can use, and she's a voracious reader. So I made her a book sleeve. She has been showing this to everybody and carrying it around and using it. But I also thought I'd show you that I did receive this from her a long time ago, and I use it daily. This is a mug rug, and she's a quilter, and so she made this for me in my favorite colors of blue, and then and this is perfect. You know, if I have in the wintertime a hot mug of tea or something, I don't want my hot cups to sit on my wood furniture, or in the warmer months I don't want, you know, my sweaty cups to sit on my furniture. So I think of her every day when I use this. So yeah, we exchange and send each other little gifts from time to time. The other I received was this card. Let me show you up close, which is handmade. This is from Elisa from eCrafting in Colorado. Elisa, I'm sorry. And she'd received a giveaway that I sent out, so this was her thank you to me. You don't have to send me anything. I do appreciate, and I've heard from many of you when I do a giveaway where I've mailed something out to let me know that you received it, because I don't trust our post office system. But that was my kindness that I received this month. Now let's move into whips. Okay, this first one I didn't do a lot on, but this is my bonus piece. This is October. The artwork it's based on artwork by Paula Vaughan, and this is from the book A Quilt for All Seasons. And I'm stitching this on an 18 count Picture This Plus fabric called Barnwood. And all I did is I filled in some of this green here, and I filled in this area, some of these reds, and this area right along there in the bottom of the quilt. So I'll hold it back and show you where it was last time you saw it. So yeah, not hardly any difference at all. I don't know what it is about this. I know I don't like the charting. They reuse the symbols. So, you know, I have to look and say, okay, is this color or is this color? And a lot of times I'll even go back and compare it to the photograph of the stitch piece to determine what color it really is. So that slows down my stitching, and as a result, I don't always want to stitch on it. My next one is another bonus piece. This is a non-full coverage. This is my only, if you will, fancy lady, because it's just not my thing. But I think it's the colors, and this is Night Fairy. So this is what Night Fairy will look like. And I filled in a little bit more on the wing. I filled in the moon, more of the moon down here. Here, I'll show you. This is where it was before. So all I have left is the very top of her head, her antenna, and the rest of that wing. And then that page will be done. So yeah, I'm loving this. This is on a 16 count antique white, or I think it's antique white. And it's not a Zweigart fabric, and it's a little stiffer than I like to work on. Let me show you. I'll take that down. So this is Night Fairy, and I've seen this done so many times, and it's gorgeous. And I thought it was probably going to be a complicated piece. It is the furthest thing from complicated that I've worked on in a long time. The only back stitch is in this area here. There's a little single, not that one. There's a little single line in these three buds, and then her arms are outlined, and there's a little bit of detail on her face. But that's all the, I don't know if that'll focus, there we go. That's all the back stitch that's in that. Now, Day Fairy, if I stitch this one, both those wings are backstitched, and then her skin is outlined. There are no beads, no metallics. Now I will show you, okay, this is the chart, the key for Day Fairy, and this is for Night Fairy. And this is my only, excuse me, this is my only problem with this. These symbols all represent the floss that is single stitched. So you use one strand of floss, and these symbols are for 2 strands of floss. There's a couple half stitches, but not a lot. Now, my problem with this is when I come over here, when I see, and this is your backstitch color here, so these little blocks here. When I see this symbol, I tend to want to go here to see what color it is, and I need to go here. So a couple of times, like this one up here, that S symbol, well, that's a check mark. This S is 832 over here, but it's actually 610, 612. So what this is this is the anchor, and this is the DMC. And so I found myself, when I'm picking from here, looking at the number closest, and I just have to remember not to do that. But that is the most confusing or complicated part of the entire design. So not bad, right? Yeah, that's something that you can really, you know, you can get behind and you can enjoy. So yeah, I'll work on that a little bit more as time allows. Nothing real serious here. This next one was the first one I'd actually picked up after finishing Alice and after finishing Cosmic Wolf. So my goals for the month. And this is A Promise of Tomorrow. The artwork is by Shawna Erbeck. I think they changed the name. They've changed it. It's not listed as Shawna Erbeck anymore, and I can't remember what it is. But the artwork is by Shawna Erbeck. It's charted by Thread Geeks. And here's where that is. So this was mainly just a palette cleanser, if you will. So after working on dark muted colors in Alice and Snow White, and then jumping to those bright colors in Cosmic Wolf, I wanted something colorful, bright, but of a different tone. I didn't want those teals, and I didn't want the muted shades of Alice and Snow White. So yeah, this one I am now up to 7.03%. This is stitched on a 20 count Evenweave. Sorry guys if you hear that. We just had an ambulance go by. But yeah, that's where that is. Now this I had thought I was going to try to finish this year, and then I decided to restart it. And I will show you why I restarted it, because now that I've made decent progress here, let me set this up for you. I'm going to show you. Now this one I started it as a, sorry, I'm just trying to put it on my board. I decided to experiment using 10 stitch. So I almost always stitch with 2 strands. So yes, what I'm working on now is 2 strands, so 2 threads full cross. I was doing this 2 threads half cross or 10 stitch. And I want to show you the difference. Can you see so right here, now I start at the top and I pick colors and I work my way through. So I did that here, and so you're going to see that, you know, for example, there's a gap here, the gap is missing here. So it's almost exactly the same, but you can see how much more saturated the colors are versus there. This is the same piece of fabric. I just cut this off. I had enough left over on the end that I was able to use the same piece. So the fabric exactly the same. You can see these branches are much more vibrant coming up in there. So this is just my experience with 20 count using 10 stitch. For anyone who uses 25 count or any of the larger pieces, your experience may very much differ from mine. But that's where I am on that. And I think I said I'm at 7.03%. So then the next one, I went back, I was ready for my full coverage. and I was ready to work on pieces just for me. And I'd actually asked you in my last video, what would you like to see me work on? And I'm glad I did that, because as I started, after I finished recording that evening, when I sat down to stitch, my mind started automatically going of, wow, as soon as I'm done with Alice's Snow White, what am I going to work on? This was one of the pieces that I instantly wanted to work on. And I would stop and go, yeah, but you've got an older piece you should work on. Or yeah, but that one you could probably start putting more in and then you could get it finished next year. And I kept coming back to, but I really want to work on this. Or I really want to work on this one. And then I would still come back to, yeah, but I'm not real good with stitch what you want. And so I was asked by one of you, one comment, to please work, and it was listed as please work on Grackles. So this is Grackles. This is what Grackles will look like. And when you last saw it, right above the eye here, so this area, these 20 stitch wide, this 20 stitch wide area was actually only partially done because I'd run out of a floss color. And so I filled that in and then I worked my way across. So I now have 2 full pages done. I'm going to put right above this the before. So yeah, you can see this all got filled in. I had the bottom done, so that didn't need to be done. Now page 3 ends right around here. So when I pick it up next, that will be my goal, is to work my way across in that background. Now my oldest granddaughter, when she was here this summer, she named, this is her favorite piece that I'm stitching. She has one that I've done in the past that it's called, you know what, this is what it is. It's called Nerthus, and it was by Unconventional X Stitch. This is one that she has said, if you ever get rid of that, it's coming to me. This is her second favorite. So yeah, and I love this as well. But anyway, she named each of the birds, and this one here is Billy. And as I get to them, I'll tell you what she named all the other birds. So that's Grackles. Grackles, the artwork is by Omar Rayyan. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It is on a 20 count aida. I'm not sure if I said that. And yeah, that's where that one is. So then I decided, we were back to that, you should do this. You need to do that. And one of the things I should do and I needed to do was an ornament for Christmas. So this here is, okay, back up. Every year my 2 youngest grandchildren wait for me to do ornaments, and my daughter-in-law loves them as well. So each year I try to pick something they're into, or maybe a trip that they took. For example, last year they took a trip to New York City, and they went to the firehouse that is, it has all the Ghostbusters. So on the sidewalk in the front, it has the big ghost from Ghostbuster. It's got Slimer. And so they got to see that fire hall, and my grandson loves Ghostbusters. So I did a Ghostbuster. And that will remind them in years to come that in 2022, they saw the firehouse. This year, he decided that he wanted to ask for what he wanted this year. And so he's into Pokemon, and he asked for Pokemon. So this is Christmas Squirtle. I found this on Etsy. The store is SewGeekyUK, so sew is spelled S-E-W. This had a total of 987 stitches, so yeah, this stitched up in one day. And it was real simple to do. Now I need to put the date in, and a lot of times, depending on the size, I'll put it maybe across in the white part of the Santa hat, or maybe I'll put it on a paw, but I think this year I'm just going to squeeze it in right down here real small. But yeah, now I don't have to worry about that. I give the kids their ornaments on Thanksgiving night, because that's after Thanksgiving dinner, they put up their tree. And then they come to my house and spend the night, so mom and dad in the morning can do Black Friday Christmas shopping and get everything for the kids, take it home, wrap it, and then come pick up the kids. And Friday morning, either late Thursday night, so Thanksgiving, or the following Friday morning, my granddaughter will ask if she can pick out her ornament, and she'll come up with what she wants. And the last 3 years, it's been animals. So instead of it being something she's into. It's been animals. So we've done the Christmas dachshund, then I did a penguin, and this year she wanted a bunny. So she went on Etsy and we typed in Christmas bunny ornament, and this came up. And I have to look at this. This is by FloReenStudio. I never remember the shop name. And I stitched on a 16 count Stellar by Picture This Plus. And there were times when I was stitching this that I wasn't sure this was going to come together, because you really needed to get most of the colors in before you saw, I'm shaking here, before you could see that, yeah, it did work. So once it all came together, it was like, wow. There's very little backstitch in this, around the eyes, around the mouth. I think there's a little bit, yeah, and a little bit around the paws and stuff down there. And that's it. All the rest is done with shading. These are all, there's no blends in this. This is just straight DMC. And I love that. So now I have their ornaments done. I don't have to worry about rushing that through towards the end of the year to get that done. So the next piece that I pulled out was one of the other ones that was requested. And again, one of the ones I really wanted to work on. So this is called Midsummers Eve. The artwork is by Jennifer Taylor, and it's charted by Contemporary Cross. And here's where it is. So this little block right here was done, just so when I show you the before and after you can compare. This block was done, but I had a lot in here that needed to be filled in. And so let me right above it put where it was. And so yeah, you can see now all this has been filled in, and I'm coming over here and filling that in. This is on a 20 count Aida. And let me bring it in closer so you can see some of the shading coming in. You can see it's lighter here. We got lighter spots. So it's going to start taking a little bit more shape here as we get across here. I'm at 5.40% on that, which isn't bad. It's one of my newer ones. I started that one this year. And then I think this is the last piece I worked on, I think. This one is charted by Unconventional X Stitch. The artwork is by Nicole Payne, and this is called Strength. Absolutely love this piece. And this is on a 20 count, very light pewter by Zweigart. It's just one of the standard colors they have. And here's where I am. So I'm going to bring this in real close for you to see. So you can see that's her head wrap. Okay, I'll bring this back and put the picture in. And so now I had this here stitched when you last saw it, but a lot of this in through here was missing. So I'll put right above here where it was, and just you can judge by this being the last block. I didn't add any more black in here. And then you can see how the head wrap is coming together. I'm now at 6.48% on this. And this is one I started in March. So my plan was this year to have 5 full coverage finishes and then be able to move on to, I lost one of my projects here, and then move on to working on this so that I would have it when I moved. It would be a newly framed piece that I could hang on my wall in my new home. So my new piece in my new home. And then the new home came first. And so, yeah, the month I found out I was moving, I pulled that out and kind of started it. So I just started that in March. So that's pretty good progress for the last couple of months. Okay, so let's move into, before we get into plans, let's move into haul. And one piece will kind of fall into plans. So the first haul, now that I finished Alice and Snow White, my grandson wanted a big piece for his room. I thought I was done with gifts. and he wanted a Pokemon piece. So we went looking on Etsy, and I definitely avoided that giant piece that everybody does. That would have taken years, and again, children, would he even be into it if I did that? What is it called? The big mega Pokemon. Anyway, we avoided looking at that. But this is the one he saw. This is called Pokemon Alphabet. It's by Bixo, B-I-X-O Stitch on Etsy. And this is large. On a 20 count, it will measure, the stitched area will measure 19 by 27 inches. So yeah, this is a big piece. I'm not going to start this right now. This will probably sometime next year when I'm ready to start working on pieces again for other people. I will pull this out and start it. And I'm thinking if I do, you know, 1 or 2 letters a month, I could get this done. And it's not full coverage, so could I stitch it faster? Maybe, sort of, hopefully. The other one, I'll show you in a minute because it's part of my plans. So I'll hold off on that. Let's get into plans. Everything, if you saw my title, everything about the way I'm stitching is changing. And I kind of, you might have already gotten a taste of that from what I just showed you. So I finished Alice in Snow White on the 20th, put a couple of days into Cosmic Wolf, which left me, you know, with just over a week. And you saw that pile I just showed you, that all was within a week. Now, most of the time when I'm stitching, I give my full coverage pieces a good 7 days, so a week at a time, which is why you typically, in my videos, I would record once a month and you would see 3, maybe 4 pieces, because I work for such a long time on each piece. It also means that I have a lot of pieces that rarely get touched, because I'll get focused on, ooh, let's get a little bit more on this so I can get this finished. And I still want to have finishes, but not for the rest of this year. So my goals for this year have been met. I had 5 pieces, 5 full coverage pieces I wanted to finish. 1 I decided to restart, that left me with 4. Those 4 are now done. So the goals are done. I'm going to take the rest of this year to stitch what I want. I'm also changing the time that I stitch. So a non-full coverage piece, such as if I decide to pull out Night Fairy, if I decide to pull out my Long Dog, I will give that 1, maybe 2 days in the month, and that's it. It'll get touched, but that'll be enough. My full coverage pieces, instead of working on them for a week, sometimes even more, I'm going to reduce that to 2 to 3 days. And that way I can bring in multiple pieces in a month. And it will almost be a wood parade because I only have 13 projects. So why am I doing this? I have a project, let me put the picture in over here. It's called One for Sorrow. And I love, okay, I'm back. And it's not much better. I'm having problems with things not being in sync. So I recorded and did most of this video and then realized it, scrapped it, and I started over. It was doing well, but now it's not. All right, I'm just gonna have to go with this. I really apologize for that. I'll try to make the rest of this a little quicker. All right, so goals for the rest of the year are to stitch what I want, except 2 things. So the first one being Cosmic Wolf. And my goal for this has been 1 page a month. So I'm going to continue working up and do 1 page a month for the rest of this year. But should I work 1 page a month continually until it's done, this will take 5 years. I don't want to take 5 years. So starting in January, I will start working and put in 5,000 from 5 years to 3 years if I do an extra 1,500 stitches a month. So you will see Cosmic Wolf every month moving forward. The other thing you will find is that I have a new start. And I'm starting this with Anna. She's on Instagram as Anna Stitches Autumn. and she is on Flosstube with her friend Dawn Marie, and their channel is DM's Crafty Vortex. I am starting Weaver's Tapestry, which is this nice long piece. This is by Magical Quilts. They have a blog with a ton of free projects. There are 3 different tapestry projects, and I picked this one. Anna picked the same one, but there are birds and animals is the other one it's called. And I'm going to put this on this gorgeous, gorgeous piece of fabric that I got from my friend Kaylee. And look at this. This is an 18 count Aida. And look at that. So I'm actually going to start at the bottom so that I can get this blue in. And to me, this represents water. And because I wanted this to be a nature piece, I decided to use 3371. So that brown on that blue. Now I've looked at it, I don't think I'll be bringing in any other colors. But we are starting this on the 4th, so Monday, which Monday is a holiday for us in the US, it's Labor Day. And I'm going to put the hashtag down here. Please join us if you want to do one of these pieces. Now, Anna and I picked the longest one there is. There are 2 others, and they're, like I said, birds and animals, and they're much smaller. But if you would like to join us, please join us. We're kind of jumping on the hashtag that was created by Emily C., who is Eclectic Possessions. But yeah, and I'm trying to remember, Eclectic Possessions, I think that's what it is. That's where I first saw this, and I love what she did with hers. I want mine to be a little different. But you can see her progress. Now she's finished hers, and some of the other people that were involved in following her and joining her. And we're just going to jump on and use that hashtag. So please join us if you're interested. Other plans. I picked up, this is my other haul. I picked up Christmas Advent Calendar. This is from Etsy by Cute Patterns by Maria. Now, a lot of these designs are by this shop, use a lot of blends. This one does not. This uses just one color, no blends. You can stitch this on Aida or Evenweave. So this is what it looks like. She also included a picture of different fabric choices. And I have to see, but I have this piece that I dyed myself. This is a teal. That's pretty close. And I'm going to have to see if I like the colors on. I might over dye it again, get it a little bit darker. But this teal is a bluish, but it's got like that undertone of green. And I thought that might be good for Christmas. So I want to start the frame on this, and then maybe in December do one animal a month, and that way I will have an advent calendar done by the end of the year. The other things that I have going are, I have some finishing to do. So I have some of these small ornaments that I haven't finished. So I want to get them finished. I also have, I don't know if you can see in here, I've saved pages out of magazines of ornaments. I don't want to pull them out and show you the chart. But every time that I found an ornament that I wanted, I assigned it a fabric. So each individual one has a fabric in here, and I would like to finish those. Another thing that I will be doing is I have a lot of these little ornaments that I've done, and I've turned them into pillows. And for whatever reason, I just feel like I've outgrown these pillow finishes. And what I'm really into right now are flat finishes. And so I want to take some of these apart and turn them into flat finishes. It just is more me. I have a couple other finishes that need to be fully finished. So I want to fully finish this one for Halloween. This was from last year's Just Cross Stitch Halloween Ornament Edition. So that needs to be finished. And this one, I can't even, this came from a magazine. I finished this years and years ago. And I turned this into a gift bag because I hate using paper to wrap. And so I made a bunch of bags up that were decorative and cute. And I would wrap that way for Christmas presents. But I took this one apart, and now I need a way to finish that. So if you have any suggestions on that one, I would love to hear your suggestions. Another one I'm redoing, this is Halloween Resurrection by Lone Elm Lane. And I love this. And I turned this into a slip cover for a pillow. But when I moved, I downsized a lot of my stuff. And I did downsize the number of decorative pillows. I didn't have a lot. I had maybe 7 throughout the house. And one of the ones that I did get rid of was the one that this would fit into. So this month I want to take this apart. I'm going to head out to Joann's, and I want to pick up a hoop and do this as a hoop finish so I can have that out for Halloween. I have some sewing. I also have some crochet projects. One is this that my grandson saw and begged me to make him. And another would be these Harry Potter crochet characters. So this was, let's see, get the glare off. There we go. So a couple years ago, the same granddaughter you saw with Alice and Snow White, she had asked me to teach her to crochet, and I did. I taught her how to do the chain, how to do a single crochet, how to do a double crochet, but I hadn't taught her anything special yet. And her mother at Christmas time saw this and thought this was perfect if her daughter was into crochet to give this to her. This is so complicated. You're talking about doing things in the round, increases, decreases, and of course they're tiny. Harry is only going to be, about that big. I mean, these are tiny. The legs are, and you're trying, your finger doesn't even fit in these to try to stuff them. So I ended up taking it, and I did, it had enough material to do Dobie and Harry. And there's 14 different characters and stuff in here. So I've ordered some yarn. We did the 2, and I did the crocheting. Then I had her stitch on like the mouth and attach all the different pieces and stuff it. So she still was working on it. But what I want to do is surprise her at Christmas time and crochet the rest of these. So there will be a lot of other projects. I won't show you all of those, but I'm just showing you my stitching where you normally see multiple thousands of stitches a month in a project, and you see 3 or 4 projects. You're still going to see a couple thousand stitches on each project. You'll see multiple projects, but you won't see as much as I used to do because I have these other things to do. So yeah, there's a few other things I want to do, but these are the ones I thought I'd show you, creative things. That's it. For whatever reason, my phone is acting up. I apologize if this has annoyed you this last half here. But have a great 2 weeks, and I will see you again on September 15th. Thank you for bearing with me, and yeah, have a great time. Bye.